Jamie Clough is an inspirational entrepreneur. He's already into his second business that he started up. He's doing honey. So he's a father to around 60 million bees in Western Australia, and he has a great vision for the business. We can hear around Jamie, he doesn't have social media, and he talks about himself around, has a real commitment to personal development. He's a bit of an enigma. He's learning how to play the violin. He has over 7 different saving accounts, planning the rest of his life. But also, you know, with these things, he's quite a dynamic, ambitious person, but he's actually very quite quiet and composed, and he's one of my closest mates. And to see this side of Jamie here, he's talking about his business in a real energized way, it really lifted me up. So if you're looking for someone who's really connected with nature, how he's built a business, aligning his personal motivations and passions with his business, this is the conversation to listen to. Jamie Clough.
Hey.
Great to have you here for an iyarn yarn.
Yes, first time.
It's exactly
Best
right.
time.
Well, I threw this at you when we were out in on the beautiful in the Hamilton Islands.
Yeah,
not too long ago.
Lulu. No, Alandra.
Alandra,
yeah.
Not Lulu. That's the one that crashed.
Yeah.
Burned.
Yeah, port engine broke down. Yeah.
So, you know, stoked to have you on board, mate. And
cool.
There's a bunch of different things we want to talk about, but the quote.
The quote, I was thinking of this on the way here actually. It's a bit of an abstract quote, but I think it's kind of cool. It's a man who procrastinates in his choosing will eventually have his choices made for him by circumstance.
I like that.
You like that? And who do you reckon did that quote? In fact, how do you guess?
Harold.
No.
Who?
Hunter S. Thompson.
Who?
One of my favourite authors.
Oh.
Hunter S. Thompson. You know, like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas?
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you love it.
Yeah, American author.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
And you know, that is a perfect quote for you, I think. And I think we'll probably unpack it here with how organised and planned and scheduled and things you are.
Yeah.
Because I guess the intention of these iyarn yarns would go deconstruct different areas of life and personal and professional. But what I think so many people would love to hear is like, you know, you're a bit of a, you know, just a stoic, like you've gone off, we were at school together, and then all of a sudden I'm going off to Melbourne.
Yeah.
I'm doing, what did you study there again?
Commerce property.
Commerce and property was focus.
Yeah.
You were over there for
4.5 years. 4 years.
4 years?
4 years or so, yeah.
And then you thought, I'm going to come back, do a bit of a work in a company, figure out a gap in the market in the real estate agency. You work at Blackburn.
Yeah.
And then you went on and was like, okay, I can do this better. Is that pretty much what happened? Or?
Kind of, yeah. Like, we went back, worked for Paul Blackburn, who was intense, but amazing at the same time. Like, you know, just a business mogul, essentially, in what, like, his intensity and just his strategy and just what he was doing at that time.
Well, he was quite a startup, wasn't it? And then it went to...
I got there, it had like 4 projects, and then it grew to like 20. Something like that. Off like his work and this guy Jared Sizer, they were just like a great duo, effectively. So kind of got a bit of inspiration from them, and then saw property management as a bit of an unloved cousin of property, basically. And then worked out to basically get my real estate license to kind of affect that business, and then went to Cape on Young. I learned from basically everyone there who are really good, but more of a kind of like a traditional family real estate business, and then started up Clear Property Management, and just went hard at it for like 2.5 years.
Fantastic. What, 2.5 years,
yeah. You've
gone off on your own to have a crack at a little gap in the market, and you were very focused on like, no, this is the area, this is how I'm doing it.
Yeah, like super specialised, just residential property management. So like common property companies try to do everything but really poorly, and especially residential property management really, really poorly, typically. And then so just did, okay, we're not doing sales or commercial retail, we're just doing residential property management. And that kind of unified the focus of me and like, you know, everyone to hopefully have a good level of service, which I thought we did. Yeah.
It was an operation. You kind of set it up as a bit of a it was going to complement your lifestyle in this phase. Like you had your office close to your home, you worked, your clientele were close to your home. So then all of a sudden you didn't waste this time in transportation, but then also, you know, you build a business from nothing into, what was your rent roll at the end?
About 185 or something.
185 from nothing to 185,
Yeah.
and then you went off and then you had this seed. Was like something was planted in your mind, hey?
Honey.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I read an IM, an information memorandum from a guy called Shane McClendon who had this great idea about Manuka honey in Western Australia. Well, I think it is. And the seed kind of took, and once an idea infects your mind, it's hard to go back. Really, all the goodwill. I mean, I remember having like these big ambitions of doubling the rent roll and doing all these things with Clear, and then post that conversation, that kind of reading that document and having that opportunity, kind of it just all kind of fell away.
Yeah.
Effectively.
Because I remember you were so passionate about it, you know, the rent roll and doing it. The business model was clear.
Yeah.
And there's people on the East Coast who'd been doing it, in Queensland and Sydney a bit.
Yeah.
And this was like, no one was doing a real specific platform like what you did.
Yeah, a couple people, but
A couple of people were.
Yeah.
You were cutting their grass.
No, the market's too big to cut people anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you went off, that's it. Well, Perth is a very, it's a small community, and you can't really get around if you're not, treating people ethically, because people talk.
Exactly. I mean, especially property investors, like, they all know each other. They all look at the same forums and magazines and investment articles, and it gets out pretty quick.
Totally. So you got to be, and then so you made this jump to Manuka.
Yeah.
And did you grow up with Manuka, loving honey, like every time you're sick having honey?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone does that. I mean, I think everyone has this kind of emotional connection with honey, more or less. I mean, it's a great substitute for sugar. Right, we think it's better for you, but don't really know. But it's, and the bees. I mean, it's not just the honey; it's the beekeeping as well, and being out in the country. So, I've done like a decade of working behind the desk in West Perth for various kind of office roles under fluorescent lights, and you need a change, a bit of a change at least. So getting out to the country a bit and doing something more practical and tangible, I thought was what I wanted at that point, and it is.
Yeah, totally.
So much more happier doing this kind of business from what I was doing before, I think.
So you set yourself up, you're like, all right, I want to jump out, pivot from this. You've able to sell your business at a price where you've made a significant amount of profit to be able to buy into this business.
Yep.
So this new business, what's the name of the company?
Honey for Life.
Honey for Life?
Yep.
And that was Honey for Life.
Honey for
Are
Life.
you the exclusive guys with that name, or?
No, we haven't TM'd it actually. Probably should. Wait, there's no like, I guess, brown belly yet, really. Everyone knows about it, so. Yeah. That's pretty much it. Like, it's more the business opportunity that really got me. Like this, I think this business is very scalable.
Yeah.
If you get the formula right, and it's very defendable. There's a pretty significant moat around, plantations and beekeeping. I mean, you can't just go get 1,000 beehives overnight or in a year, really. It's a bit of a significant hurdle to get over. So
you went from managing houses to now essentially owning houses for the bees.
For beehives, yeah.
For beehives. And so when we had a chat the other day, and I was like, you're recently married, and you're going to this next journey to potentially becoming a father, but all of a sudden you're actually already a dad to, how many bees in each beehive?
Between kind of 40 and 70,000.
And so how many beehives do you have?
There'd be like 30 to 60 million bees. Something like that, yeah.
30 to 60 million, it's a bit of a variance.
Well, I mean, it really depends on the season and how big the hives are at a certain point. So, yeah, it's something like that. It's a lot of hungry mouths to feed.
Wow, so you've got a few staff, and you got sites around the state?
Yeah, everywhere from Geraldton down to Esperance.
Yeah, and you got different kind of, is that just a test trial, see what works better, or is it more?
No, it's to kind of chase the floral source. So, like migratory beekeeping, you're basically going from flowering event to flowering event, and you're just chasing, flowers around Western Australia. Right. As weird as that sounds.
And you're transporting the bees around?
Yeah, on trucks. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
so it's a bit of a logistics company as well, but it's very kind of where we're going to go next. Is it going to be Jarrah or red gum or southern yate or just wherever it's going to be.
Right.
So you always kind of need to be thinking ahead, and but it's fascinating. Bees are fascinating creatures. They're like an onion, and the more layers you peel off, effectively, the more interesting they become. You know, they're just fascinating critters.
Yeah. Well, it's such a big part of our ecosystem. If you go real deep, so I hear, I'm not really too much into it, but the pollination, the sharing of all that, they play such a huge part in the whole ecosystem, Western Australia and globally. I want to kind of just, and then before we go into sharing with this, is like, what I love, you love nature. You were working at a desk, under fluoro lights for so long, and then you've actually this is where I'm happiest, and you've made the bold jump. You had a successful business, generating a good cash flow, and then you go, no, I want to do something that's never really been done at the scale that you're working on, and I'm going to go in the dark and just have a crack. And
pretty much,
and I guess the one thing that I really loved about hearing that was, there was a real that on a purpose level, on an energised level personally, but then also on an economic level, you think, Western Australia is such a beautiful, pristine, clean environment. So you see this source that you're producing is actually going to be, the demand for this kind of product internationally is going to be bigger than the domestic market.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a great product. So it's just fascinating. It's a fascinating business. I mean, New Zealand done a great job of making Manuka what it is today, effectively. And it's just a really interesting business, I think. And that's what kind of drew me to it. So.
How can people buy it?
honeyforlife.com.au.
Great, we'll send them there.
Shameless plug, but
Oh, don't worry, there's no one sponsoring us now, so we can say whatever we want. What I really like, we'll go into your wheel here. We've had a preset wheel. You've actually created your own one, which I think is really cool, and it kind of goes to show, how the wheel simply, this is something that you can use to check in on areas of life that truly matter to you.
Yeah, anything, yeah.
And I remember a few years ago, your wife, Soph, and I, we had on the back of the napkin, we had this chat. Would you do this with Soph?
I would.
Or is this more of a personal one?
I mean, I think you could apply this to almost anything in life, really. It's a really good kind of graphical representation of thoughts and ideas, like modularizing things, I think.
And so you've got these stronger areas for you, travel, wealth creation, and enjoyment. And inspiration. So tell me about, there's a lot there. Is there anyone you want to particularly talk about?
I guess, maybe travel, considering we just recently been able to travel ourselves. But I mean, I think having an adventure to kind of keep you going, but be inspired by and kind of be working towards, having it coming up within the next kind of 3 to 4 months, I think it's pretty important, because you can do intensive blocks of work and then have that thing to look forward to, and that that unknown or wherever you're going to go, and then just do that over and over again, kind of 4 or 5 times a year. I think that's a pretty good way to run kind of travel throughout your life, really. But a lot of people, I think, are very kind of last minute with that. They're just like, okay, we're going to do this on this weekend, and it's not like organised fun. If you organise things literally more than 2 weeks in advance, the opportunities are endless. But if you're 2 or 3 days in advance, none of your friends will probably be able to do it, and it's a disaster. And your opportunity, your possibilities are just so limited. Yeah. And there's so many people that do it that way. Yeah. Which is frustrating.
Frustrating.
Yeah.
And so now you kind of, we went through this great adventure, and I feel the same as well. I'm wow, I feel so rejuvenated leading into this time for Christmas and New Year's, because we, as mates, came together and were like, let's go out in a boat in the middle of nowhere, and we'll get an idiot-proof boat. Still managed to damage it, but we didn't crash it.
The ocean,
Go sailing and have a crack. And it was, I think one thing you said that was kind of got my ears was the unknown. Yeah. It was actually doing shit you haven't done before. Yeah. And I kind of like that, and I think that we were all quite vulnerable into that ecosystem. We've gone to a place we've never gone to, and all these variables, and that kind of heightened the whole experience, I think, for all of us.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, if you keep going back to the same place over again, there's a nostalgia about that, which is nice. But I don't know, you can't replace the unknown and the adventure. You know? I don't know, I think there's something deep inside me that just wants to keep getting out there and exploring something.
Yeah, and because there's some things that came up on that boat, like we had 7 days together. Yeah. Just us 3 guys, didn't have any cards. It wasn't too. We got upgraded, so it was pretty nice. But the thing was, we didn't have any cards, so we just had the biggest yarns that we probably never had before.
Yeah, yeah.
And one of the real cool things I've kind of, you're not on social media.
Yep.
So whatever we do, you're not going to be able to share and promote it.
Pretty much, no.
But it's funny how, like, Jamo and I, we've both gone through our challenges and I know mental health, anxiety, different things. But it's interesting how you're just like one of those consistent blokes. You're not getting caught up.
Always at 6,000 reps.
You're just there and you're smiling, you're having a good time, you're present with who you're with.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of like, I think on my level, how I feel with that, it's like, I feel, actually, it's like, I think all this time when you're reading, like I remember popping around your house the other day, learning how to do Excel better. Like, it's just a casual bit of Saturday reading. Let's read a 300 book on Excel.
Yeah.
And then another book, what was derivatives and future trading, and what's one that you were reading when we were on the trip? What was that one?
Commodities trading.
Commodities trading.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like all of this time, I think, like, that we're kind of on our thread, checking in for whatever reason.
Yeah.
We're reading these books, which is really quite...
I don't really understand. I don't know. I've got a strange relationship with social media.
Yeah.
I don't think I think it's really good for connecting people in some ways, but it's very bad for vanity and like kind of pushing people's vanity limits, and like the narcissism involved and the virtual signaling and all that stuff. I don't know. I can't get my head around that. When you see someone like at the beach, like doing 1,000 different shots and like trying to get the light right, and like, their friends are like patiently waiting and like they're not enjoying that moment. They're trying to create this moment to like broadcast it to the people that probably don't really care.
Yes.
I don't know. Social media is an interesting one. I think it's only getting worse before it gets better.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. So then, well, I've given you a bit of my Instagram. Okay, so then we've got these other ones here. So you got health, personal growth, friends, and this. So do you want to talk about this?
Yeah, I guess I should choose the worst one, probably friends, 3.9 out of 10. I think I did that because I don't know. I feel like I'm probably working too hard and too kind of focused on different things outside of, I'm not really focusing on kind of social stuff that much right now, and it should be that because it's a festive season, it's Christmas, and like you should be hanging out with family and stuff, but I don't know, it's probably just where I'm at right now in work, where I'm feeling a bit like, I need to go hang out with people more. Because you reconnect with some friends.
Because your work's pulling you so many directions.
Yeah.
And then people are here partying, having fun, and you're not doing it.
Yeah, it's a bit of FOMO. Yeah, a little bit of that, but I do need to make kind of more conscious effort to go out and meet people and do a bit of that. I feel that's lacking a bit in my life. Yeah,
and just kind of like having, that time where you just there's not kind of you're held bound by time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what I've kind of like when when we do find the time to do it, it's not, I've got this hour window or block. It's actually a whole afternoon when whether that's going to Roto or, going diving or going, walking or having beers, whatever. Yeah. Just having that downtime where you don't actually have an agenda, just having a yarn.
Exactly. Yeah. I need more of that because I'm always getting pulled back. And so I just need to remove myself, I think, a bit like that,
But the challenging thing is like you get these guys, like you obviously would know about this guy, he's called Gary Vee, and he's like this big social media person. And he talks about, mate, if you're starting up a business, you've got no time for your friends. This is the time for you to go hone in on what you're doing, because that's going to set you up for the rest of your life. So it's kind of like one of these double, edged swords things. It's like, the friends, and after all these yarns that we've been having with people, over the last day or so, it ends up being such a foundational rock for people in their well-being and mental health.
I think
and
so.
It actually ends up being that source of strength, which helps you do your business better. And actually you're thinking better because you're giving your brain that relaxing phase, and then you don't have this anxiety about, oh, am I lonely? Do I not have these people I can call on if I am feeling a bit down and out?
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah.
You can go and, create all these things to create all that future that you want, but then if you don't have, that future to enjoy with anyone, because you work so fucking hard for so long, effectively, that'd be sad. That'd be a sad outcome. So I know you just need to kind of recalibrate and check yourself a couple of times, I think, when it gets too much.
That's it. So we've got, and then personal growth and health.
Yeah, I think health's an interesting one. I mean, I think everyone's health goes in cycles where you're feeling really good and you have a big night, you're feeling terrible again and whatever. And I know I only put 5.4 because I think I'm drinking too much coffee right now. So maybe
it's going to be coffee.
Yeah. So I need to cut back on coffee, I think, a little bit. But
how does that make you feel? Does it make you a bit like how many coffees?
I don't know. I've been drinking like these little kind of kombucha, like good energy drinks. They're not like, I don't think it's like, well, it's like kombucha, right? So it can't be that bad for you. But I only have one a day, but I think I'm like hypersensitive to like the ginseng or something inside it. So
it's a kombucha mixed with caffeine.
Yeah.
And
coffees,
yeah, and then a couple of coffees on top of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So
sounds like a recipe of disaster.
So you need to kind of
disaster
cut
pants.
that down a bit. Yeah.
It's like a glorified Red Bull by the sounds of things.
It kind of sounds like a glorified Red Bull a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know though. I need to.
A hippie's option of Red Bull.
I need to probably look at the milligram amount and like how much kind of caffeine and like green coffee beans and that stuff.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Hey, like managing it all. Like when classic Nat and I, my partner, I was like, babe, you just seem like a bit thing when we first started going out, and then we did a challenge together, just not drinking coffee for a month. And full blown withdrawal symptoms. Like Nat was like had to leave work early.
Wow.
One like couple of days, like just literally 2 days in.
Yeah.
And then it's like, whoa. And you only need to read like 1 or 2 articles about the impact when you get off it, and you realise that dependence.
Oh man, I'm completely addicted to coffee. Yeah, it's horrible. But I think it's, if you have vices, that's probably a pretty good vice to have. Because like, like it makes you a bit more productive. You probably get a bit more things done. You get like a bit anxious, but I mean that's probably not a bad thing.
It's a trade-off.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. But I guess it's like what I've always felt with it. I've always found like on a weekend, if I know I can comfortably have a day, 2 days on it, off it, then it's not actually doing any long-term thing. We don't know effects of that, but I think some people are more prone to it affecting us in different ways adversely. Like for me, I have 1 coffee. I'm like going, and I've been sipping on 1 coffee today, and I've got this as a backup just in case. But it's when I have a tipping point. If I go over 2 coffees a day, I know that's a red flag for me personally.
Yeah, if I go over 2 coffees, it's all over as well. I can't have more than 2. So like this kombucha thing, I need to just cut that out. So.
Yeah, right, okay. So then that's the health. Because you've been, one big thing that you've been doing is also this soft sand running, which has been a huge thing.
Yes, I love that. I mean, you do it for so long that it just becomes part of your life. You don't even kind of view it as exercise anymore, really. It's just, and you look forward to it because you're like, oh, I'm going to spend that hour on the beach running with my dog, it's great. And like she gets out, you can see her like basically smiling on the beach next to you, like your little buddy, You're running along and it's like, wow, like it's such a good break from, and it kind of charges you up for the next, because I go usually about 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's like having a coffee, like a better natural coffee. So you get back and you charge work for the next 2 hours, it's great.
Yeah, right.
Because I think like between kind of 1 and, 3:30, that's usually a bit of a dull face for a lot of people.
2:30itis.
Yeah, exactly. Like start looking at the clock and like, when we get out of this place.
Right. Well, that's a good little. What happens to the days that you don't get to do that?
I usually go out that night.
Oh, really?
Yeah, all in the morning.
It's just what you have to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's your sanity.
If I don't go every second day, I just start losing it. I think I've just got too much energy. I'll just start becoming really annoying to Soph, or just, I don't know, I'll start getting really irritable.
Irritable.
About stupid things.
Yeah.
I don't know, I think exercise is so, essential for like your personal well-being, really, because I don't know. I think I heard someone explain it's like you're a battery, and you know the stuff that in a battery that's just like kind of acidy corrosion. If you just leave it for a while, you don't use it. Like your body's like a battery, you know. If you have to keep using that battery, it's just going to start corroding on itself.
Oh, totally.
I can't remember who said that.
It's probably sounds like something your dad said. And then we've got this one here, like personal growth.
Yeah. So 5.3. Yeah, I think like outside of work and kind of work-related things. I mean, I've been having a crack at learning the violin for a while, and hasn't been going well. Violin's a hard instrument to learn by yourself. But like, I guess...
It's funny, you hear someone learning to play the violin, I think of like year 4, year 5, when you kind of get forced to play this thing.
Yeah.
But that's such an interesting instrument to, you know, as a young adult to have a crack at.
Yeah.
Play the violin. What was the motivation to do that?
Well, I like violin music, so I thought, I could learn how to play this somehow. I'm doing like, the book by, like song by song, book by book, and like learning it and then trying to like, but it's difficult. It's really hard this instrument to learn.
Do you know any Christmas carols?
Even just tuning the thing is hard. Like,
do you have a little tuner?
I have a little tuner, yeah, but it's actually not straightforward tuning it. As much as you think, you just like, you do a couple of things, you're like, okay, that's it's not like that.
Can you play Christmas carols yet?
I can play a couple of basic songs.
Oh, how good's that?
Yeah, I should have put it in here.
Yeah. You do the intro to the podcast. Yeah. I'm looking for a bit of a violin. You never know when you need it.
Some sad kind of like, World War II music.
Yeah. Oh, deadly. So I guess with the iyarn, it's we kind of go through, we're at these different areas, and if you were to identify this is where you're at right now.
Yep.
How do you feel like which one of these could you do that could get like what's a low hanging fruit that you could increase?
Well, I think friends for sure over the next 2 weeks.
Yep.
And I want to get that from a 3.9 to like a 7.
So pretty much just having a few more beers. Yeah.
Something like that, got to watch a couple of times. Maybe got to Shark Bay, who knows?
Yeah.
Probably personal growth a little bit. Stop working probably start next week, so I have a lot more time to kind of apply to some projects that I've been kind of thinking of. Health, I think that's a pretty easy one. Enjoyment, I think, is going to be, who doesn't enjoy the festive season?
A bit of over-enjoyment sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's going to take care of itself.
Yeah, right.
And wealth creation, that's a hard one. You can't kind of push that too hard. That's kind of like, golf. The harder you try, the worse you are at it. I've heard that. Can't remember who said that one, but that's yeah. You can try it a lot, but like commodity speculation and the honey company. Like honey company is going to be a slow build, and trading futures is you can't rush that. That's all about timing. So that's the only things that I really enjoy. So pushing like something else would be, I think, a bit of a failure.
So with wealth creation, so it's kind of a 7 point because it's quite steady. It's just ticking along.
Yeah.
But I think on the flip side of wealth creation is this thing of saving as well.
Yes.
And that's what I've seen. When we've gone out and you have you've got 7 different saving accounts. Yeah. But you've got one of the most peculiar ones because you really appreciate wine.
Yeah.
And so you've got a saving, you and Soph, it's a great thing that you do together.
Yeah.
So you both love wine.
Yes.
And we want to actually save up and get good wine.
Yeah.
And every month, so you put a certain amount into a fund?
Yeah, effectively. Because I find it hard going to like a wine shop or like bidding for something online and spending like $500 in wine in one hit.
Yeah.
So, I feel like it's a bit self-indulgent. So we just like put a small amount each week into this wine account, and then like it doesn't affect your kind of weekly or monthly cash flow to like a large extent. So this is one of, and before you know it, you've got all this money set aside for wine. and it's just there. And so you can go and then buy all these great wines that you really love.
Yeah, one bloke, I got Jon Stewart. I think you know Johnny Stewart, Phoebe's old man. Phoebe Stewart,
Maybe.
Jon Stewart.
Yeah.
His famous quote is "Life too short for bad wine."
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's and it was quite interesting. I think actually going deeper and deeper into that, it's actually you could spend X amount of dollars, but if you're not enjoying the depth of when you really appreciate a good wine, you understand the story behind it.
Yeah.
And your honeymoon. That's what you and Soph did, hey?
Yeah, went to Bordeaux. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, wine's a whole world. There's a whole world of like makers and areas and regions and tastes. It's never ending. So if it gets you, you need to set a saving target every month.
Well, I think it's one way to do it, and then second to the kids saving fund and all these other ones. And I think that's something is we get, like a lot of us Gen Ys get so caught up in the moment sometimes, going parties or get the nice shoes or necklace or shirt or whatever it is. Actually, how you're setting yourself up for the rest of your life. Yeah. And I think a lot of us. Yeah.
It would like if you get say $1,000 a month as your wage, right?
Yeah.
Like it's very easy just when that's in your account just to spend it on stuff that like superfluous stuff you probably don't need. Where if you've got like basically like a pathway into say 3 different, and you've got percentages for like food or like entertainment, travel, wine, kid 1, kid 2, whatever it's going to be, then your remaining budget is actually not a lot. And if you want to save like $25,000 over a 5-year period, it's amazing how much
deposit or something.
Yeah, it's amazing like how much money you actually have to save every month. People don't realise that.
It's all good and well. Oh, I could get that bonus, or I could get this, and all of a sudden, but it is actually something when you're getting a mortgage. They actually see your capacity consistently contribute to a bank account.
Definitely.
Is actually one of those things to increase your debt capacity.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Well, I guess Jimbo, it's been bloody good having a bit of an iyarn yarn.
Cool. Yeah.
Do you feel like this is with the iyarn platform, this is something you could do to help you connect with your family or friends a bit better?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's really something you could apply to almost anything. I mean, the fact that you can kind of customize every module, have small descriptions of every module. It tracks your progression or regression over time. It's fascinating. I haven't actually done it with anyone outside of you, but yeah, I'm going to. I'm going to do it with Sophie. I'm going to do it with maybe someone from work if they're willing, and doesn't kind of I don't know. They're from a different generation, so they might feel it as a bit too technology. Maybe I don't
getting
know.
that bit.
So I think it's really applicable to almost anything. So yeah, I think you're onto something really.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Oh mate, thank you.